in here, they've been inside from the start. They haven't had to survive. And they just don't get it. They can't.
The very thing that makes you different is what makes you special.
Now I'm all warm and fuzzy inside.
To fight for this city. To be the symbol of hope that the arrow never was. I am the Green Arrow.
We were in sync even. Very good. Hello. Welcome to the Fandom Zone, episode 53 for the week ending March 26th, 2016. My birthday week. Yay!
Yay! And happy belated birthday. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to mention that 1 year anniversary of the Fandom Zone.
Woo!
Can I get a what?
What?
Raise the roof.
And it's almost Archer time.
Yes, it is. That comes out, what, Thursday?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the 31st, right?
I believe so, yes.
Lots
That's right.
of
That's right, because the Archer season 6 set comes out Tuesday. So
Right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Yeah. All right. So
Yes, so
happy anniversary to us. Happy birthday to you, Karen.
Thank you. And I'm Karen. And you are?
I'm Charles.
And happy anniversary to you. That's
true. Next week, my wife and I will be married 19 years.
Oh my goodness.
So we're
on the same year.
We are? We're 97?
Yeah,
97?
Oh no, 96.
Yeah,
so we're on 20 years.
So yeah, this will be your 20th.
Oh my God. What are we going to do this year?
You better do something.
Wow. It's in October, though. I've got plenty of time. Anyway.
All right. For now, we're going to do this.
Segue that's happening right now.
Shut up, zombie you.
Yeah, exactly. So, episode 53, like we said, and we have a ton of shows to talk about.
Yes.
S-ton of shows to talk about. And we are powered by cake and bitch slap coffee.
And 7-Up.
And 7-Up, okay.
7-Up today.
We'll be talking The Walking Dead.
Yeah, she got the chocolate cake, just like Trixie on Lucifer.
Right. Episode 14, Supergirl 17, Lucifer 9, Gotham 15, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D 13, The Flash 16, iZombie 15, Arrow 16, Daredevil 3, and our 1 year anniversary is at the end of that list.
New York Giants 24, Atlanta Falcons 23. Oh.
Hike!
And now, here's Bob with the weather.
That's right. Jane, you ignorant slut. So, first up, let's talk about The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
That's right. It was an interesting episode. And I have already seen the next episode since we're recording on a Monday.
Yep. So as have I.
Difficult to not squish them together, but
we took the day off for Easter, so yeah.
That's right.
Even though Walking Dead didn't. And your birthday.
The second time in my remembrance that my birthday fell on Easter, which is a bummer. My birthday and my mom's birthday can both fall on roaming holidays. Hers Labor Day and mine.
That's cool.
Anyway.
So twice as far.
And
written by Matthew Negrete.
Okay.
Directed by Ulrich Riley.
Very cool.
Ulrich.
That's like
that
sounds like a vampire name.
I keep thinking of Baldric from Blackadder.
Yeah.
I have a cunning plan. I love Blackadder.
I love Blackadder too. I have the whole set. I love that thing.
I do
so
too.
Good. Okay. So my storylines,
Mm-hmm.
Seekers, which is what I get accused of being every once in a while.
Right.
B story, biting the bullet.
Bite the bullet, baby.
He ended up biting.
That's a Twin Peaks reference, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
And then the C story is Porch Chick.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well played.
Thank you very much.
Well played.
Well,
Although it's not quite porch, or no. What is it? Truck dick on a stick
right.
from last night. But we'll get into that next week.
Maybe I'll use that for next week's.
Yeah, we should. We should use
Truck dick on a stick.
That was classic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was.
I love that.
But she was definitely Porch Chick in this one.
Porch chick.
There was lots of sitting on the porch with cigarettes
Mm-hmm.
in this episode. So
there's an ashtray full of cigarette butts.
yep.
It's
To mark
all lonely on the swing.
That's right. So drug seekers. That was the main plot where. Okay, names. You'll have to give me names here because I'm really tired.
That's okay. So that would be Daryl, Rosita, and Denise.
Denise decided she was going to pull Daryl and Rosita in on her plan to go to this apothecary that she'd seen.
Right.
To go grab a bunch of drugs because she wanted to contribute. She was tired of just hanging around Alexandria. And she decided, because she hadn't taken the initiative to tell Tara that she loved her before Tara ran off, this was her big move.
Yep.
She was going to, take a stand. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do something for our community. Let's go get these
I'm a big girl. I can help.
Right.
I can do things.
And she did. Which, I mean, it pretty much saved them. They got a lot of supplies for the town.
Right.
So,
and I like Daryl. Daryl just is like, well, Denise is like, well, I can point out which ones you're going to take. You can take, but I'll just take it all.
Right.
Which why would
why not?
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Right. Because there's stuff that they might as well have.
Why have to come back for it?
Right.
Yep.
It's not going to take up extra room anyway. So. Right. So they go into the apothecary, they clean it all out. In the meantime, she sees a bunch of weird baby stuff.
Yeah.
Which is symbolism.
Now, am I the only one that was thinking that I was waiting for a zombie baby?
Yeah, I was too.
Which we still have not seen on The Walking Dead, and it kind of pisses me off because you would think there would be a zombie baby.
I don't think their brain has had time to get the virus.
Still, you would think.
I guess, but I really don't.
If the baby dies, the baby should become a zombie. It's alive.
They don't have the virus yet, though.
But
in their brain, they have to have the virus in their brain, right?
They haven't explained that, though. I think it's still available.
Well, the CDC kind of said that.
Well, I think it's on the table. It should be on the table.
Okay, maybe it's on the table, but
I don't know.
What she saw was that the zombie in that room had eaten the baby.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, the babies are bite size.
That's true. They're like they're like chicken nuggets.
Right. They're the pre-meal. They're the
happy meal.
Right. So, I can see why there wouldn't be any baby zombies.
Zombies, come on down for the baby meal here at McDonald's. No.
Yeah, they're the amuse-bouche, as it were. So yeah,
you can get a little free Rick action figure in your baby meal box.
Right. And Denise was telling them about her brother.
Right.
And saying how her brother's name was Dennis, so she looked on the little thing on the keychain
rack,
found the keychain that said Dennis, and pulled it off, which ended up coming back at the end of the episode. And she told Daryl that Daryl reminded her of her brother, and that was kind of a little touching.
Little bonding moment.
Bonding.
At least on Denise's part. She tried to bond with Daryl over brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think Daryl kind of took that as a nice gesture, at least.
Yeah. He didn't get all huffy and walk
No.
off annoyed.
No, he didn't grunt.
Yep.
He took that to be some sort of respect. And on the way back, she sees a car that has a cooler in it, and it also has a zombie in it. And she decides, I'm going to do something proactive.
I want that cooler.
Right? And if I have to kill a zombie to do it, I'm going to kill a zombie to do it. She does kill the zombie, and in doing so, she gets the cooler, and she also vomits. She mentions earlier that she had oatmeal for breakfast, which I thought was interesting because when she vomits, the prop guys made sure that her vomit looked like oatmeal.
Yeah, they explained that on the show, didn't they? Yeah,
yeah they did.
On Talking Dead, yeah.
Yeah. But she vomits on her glasses.
Ew.
Which is definitely foreshadowing.
Right.
Then she won't need them for much longer.
I would be like, okay, I'm gonna take my. She didn't even. Did she like leave them on the ground? I was trying to figure. I was like,
I think she picked them up and maybe
hope so.
In her pocket.
Maybe.
But she really didn't need them much longer.
Just get your shirt and wipe it off, and
But it is something that it was foreshadowing. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, he had to get rid of that, make that eye nice and open.
But not just that. It was like saying that something was gonna happen with her eyes anyway.
Right.
So, she gives them a lecture on the way back, right in the middle of this open area. And I'm thinking, okay, something horrible is going to happen here because they're out in the open and they're yelling.
Right.
This is not
attracting all this attention.
Of course. And who comes by but Dwight?
Yeah, douchebag Dwight.
Right. And he's been burnt. This is something that Daryl did, right? He burnt.
No. Remember, I think this is how this went down. Was when he first met Daryl the first time, and Daryl ended up tricking that guy into getting bit in the face by a zombie.
Right.
So I think the way they dealt with it was to cauterize it.
I see.
And that burned his flesh.
So he had to do something to.
That's my theory. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Okay. So, it was Daryl's fault.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. He's responsible, but yeah.
And he had his crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also the guy that stole his bike.
Yeah. I should point out, though, that Denise wasn't the one who was supposed
He was aiming at.
No,
right.
Well, that, but also in the comics, it's Abraham who gets that arrow.
Right. And it turns out that Abraham does show up at this melee.
Right.
As well. But they said they were planning on having it be Denise because that actress had other commitments anyway.
Right.
So
they
decided to switch it up.
Yep.
They were saying how glad they were that she could join them for at least this long of a time anyway. She has so many other things that she's been on. So I thought it was cool that she could be on the show for at least this long. I really enjoy her.
Right. I thought she was going to be on longer, to be honest, but
yeah,
she's the doctor. I thought they would at least keep her around until they got a new doctor.
Well, now there are problems that they have to face. So
yep.
That's par for the course on The Walking Dead is now they don't have this medic anymore.
Well, I'm sure they'll get somebody from the hilltop and. That'll be the new doctor.
Well, they have the guy who gave the sonogram.
That's true. Yeah.
From Hilltop. So
good call.
But anyway.
Yeah.
She does get the arrow through the eye, and down she goes.
Shunk.
Right. And in the melee. Okay, what's his name again? Eugene gets shot, but he also kind of.
Yeah, he takes a shoulder wound, but he doesn't.
Distracts Dwight.
Yeah,
by chomping.
He's the hostage, and he's kind of like hyperventilating, like Carol was last week,
right?
The week before, and but he bides his time. He gets his moment, and then bites Dwight in the dick.
Right. He distracts him
There's no way around it.
Right, by pointing out Abraham, because Abraham's hiding. And he explains to Abraham later that, I wasn't trying to out you. I was using it as a maneuver, and Abraham gives him props for it later.
Yep. Yeah, he praises his dick biting skills.
Right, exactly. So, and then there's this melee where he ends up getting shot, and the drugs that they had procured saves his life.
Right.
And really, the only person we lose is Denise. They end up burying her, and Daryl picks up the keychain that says Dennis, and it's kind of a nod to the fact that he feels like he should keep that as like a symbol to the fact that he feels like she thought he was similar to her brother.
That's his souvenir of her.
Right. To remember her by.
His memento of her.
Right. And then also there's the little side storyline that kind of mirrors that, where Eugene gets the same sort of impulse to go show Abraham this, I guess it's some sort of manufacturing.
Yeah, it's like a manufacturing building, plant, whatever. It's like a metalworks fabrication place or something.
And he says they can make bullets there.
Right.
And Abraham is all up in that. He says, "What a great job you've done.
You're thinking outside the box."
That's right. He has all kinds of platitudes, which is wonderful. But then when Eugene decides he wants to kill a walker, Abraham decides to take over, and Eugene is not having it.
No, he gets really angry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just he's
when
like,
Abraham,
I call dibs.
Right? I call dibs, and dibs is dibs.
Dibs is dibs. Dibs is dibs.
Right. And Abraham and he get into a fight, and Abraham huffs out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Abraham stands his ground.
Yep. Yeah, he's like, "Screw you, Eugene. You find your own way home."
Right. And they end up reconciling when he realizes that Eugene does do that strategic move to point out Abraham in the fight.
Now apparently dick biting that's some stage 2.
It is. Yes. I've moved to stage 2. I'm firm in stage 2.
I posted this on Twitter. I don't want to know what stage 3 is.
No, either.
I don't even want to know what stage 2 is, and they told me.
Stage.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to know what stage 3 is.
Let's not.
The dick biting stage 2. No, I don't want to know what 3 is. No.
Don't make this move either.
No.
This move. No.
No. N-O. No.
No. Okay. And then the last story is, of course, Carol as Porch Chick, who is thinking about her choices that she's made. She is regretting some of the things that she's done. Mm-hmm. And it's addressed in this last episode, some of the kills that she's made. And they, Morgan and Rick talk about it in this last episode, but, some of the kills she made along the way.
Right.
And even in the last episode where she and Maggie had to take on the band of women as well. And she's sort of having a crisis of conscience. And she decides that she's not sure whether she can take up arms for everyone or not. So she's going to leave the group. And I'm not quite sure what her motivation is, especially seeing what happened after that. I'm thinking maybe it was just an excuse to leave.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think she was looking for her moment. She's just like, I've had enough. See, the problem with Carol at this stage, she's checked out. Mm-hmm. She is burned out, and she's like, I need a vacation or something because I'm done. That's it.
Yeah, I think she wants to go ninja.
Right.
Like go dark.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go like I'm on the down low.
Right.
Don't bother me.
I think that's her move because I think she feels like she's getting crowded. First of all, she gets stuck in that situation with Maggie. She's pregnant, right. And she feels like she had to protect her. And that puts this huge burden on her. And then she gets back and she's, getting crowded by, who is it, Tobin? Is that his name?
Yeah, it's a little smothered. But
Right.
at least from her perspective.
Right.
I don't think
And
Tobin did anything that bad.
No, I don't think so either.
But her.
Yeah, she's kind of a loner, and he just keeps asking her out. And she's like, "Okay, fine, we'll go to dinner." I don't think she's ready for that.
Well, she used him for sex.
Yeah, but that's on her terms.
I understand that.
Right.
But my point,
I'm just saying.
That's kind of my point, is that
right.
As long as it's what she wants, it's not
right.
what Tobin wants.
Right.
For them.
Right.
That's where I'm going with it.
So that's about where we left it off, is she leaves this note for Tobin.
Right.
Telling him what's going on, and she has packed this whole bag and everything and taken off. And we find out early in the next episode exactly what she did, and it's very interesting, but we'll talk about that next week.
Yep.
So what's your rating?
Last thing we see is Morgan, who's like, he hears like the battle carts being wheeled out, squeaky, squeaky, squeaky,
with all the guns.
Exactly.
Right. Now, does Abraham go to?
No, he went to Sasha.
Yeah, at the end of the episode, Sasha invites.
And Sasha says, "Okay, come on in."
Right.
Because he laid down the I want to be like 30 years from now or something.
Time is fleeting.
Yeah, something like that.
I gotta make some pancakes.
Where's the Bisquick?
Exactly.
All right.
Okay. So what did you give this episode?
I enjoyed this episode a lot. I gave it 9 crossbows to the eye.
Okay.
Crossbow arrow.
I give it 8.5 toy soldiers. Daryl found a toy soldier in a little fanny pack near the beginning of the episode.
Yep.
So.
Oh, whittled.
I thought that was interesting. He found a toy, which I thought kind of brought the episode to a circle when he took the keychain. It was kind of a symbol to like a boy. A little boy.
I keep picturing that Daryl somewhere has this like stash.
Collection.
Yeah, he's got like a little knick-knack collection thing. Somewhere.
Yeah. I just took that as kind of a little bookmark.
Yeah.
At the beginning, at the end. Okay, on to Gotham. Season 2, episode 15, Mad Gray Dawn.
Right.
Which refers to one of the paintings in the episode.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Written by
Robert Hull, directed by Nick Copus.
Nick Copus, awesome, by the way. He's very cinematic.
Yep.
He has done Arrow Salem, and he's going to work on the upcoming Damien. And if you check him out on IMDb, he does prep books for every show that he works on.
Oh.
And he draws the cover like a cartoon, like a comic book. And they are awesome. He's got pictures of them on his IMDb page.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. So anyway.
Yeah.
My storylines are Riddle of the Jinx.
Right. Nice.
Oz Waddles Home.
Mm-hmm.
And Adrenaline and the Junkies. And the bonus is Babs Babbles at the very end. So Riddle of the Jinx would be, of course, the main storyline is the Riddler.
This is a big Riddler episode.
It certainly is.
And because the Riddler is, obviously he's petrified of Gordon figuring it out that he killed Kristen Kringle.
Yeah, now this is something that I nitpick on other shows where it's like, if only they communicated,
right,
you could avoid this whole thing. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it is the most awesome thing ever, right?
This is like a Bad Three's Company episode where nobody's on the same page.
Right. James Gordon would not suspect him of killing Kris Kringle.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, because there's like, Ed, get out of here. You're kidding me.
Right. But he's going to get caught for it because of all this. Right?
And that's kind of a Riddler thing to do because the Riddler tends to be often self-destructive in Batman comics. He will leave clues because he's pathologically incapable of not leaving clues.
Right.
And therefore Batman catches him.
He wants to be clever.
Mm-hmm. He wants to show off.
Right. He wants to show that he's clever, and he kind of wants to say...
But it's also obsessive compulsive disorder.
Right. Exactly. And he wants to do this self-fulfilling prophecy thing, where it's like, well, I don't want to get caught, but here's the clues.
I can't help myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the start of that. And he decides he's going to have this plan to frame James Gordon in order to get him out of the way.
It's a pretty intricate and actually good plan by Ed.
Well thought out plan.
Yeah. Ed pretty much lays it, like, he sets up Gordon nicely and knocks him right down.
He sure does. And I squeed in delight with at least the first part where he draws the question marks on the paintings, because it's vintage Riddler with the purple question marks.
Yep. I mean, he even had like a little like bomb replica that the wick goes down and the smoke comes out, and it's this massive distraction.
Right. And it says on the thing, this is a real bomb.
Right. Which I loved. I love that.
I loved it too. It was so campy, like 60s Batman.
It was very 60s Batman. That's where I was going with that. Yeah.
It was fantastic. And this whole plan is like totally set up to frame. He's actually the guy who fingers James because he knows about it.
Right.
And he takes that confession, quote unquote, the anonymous tip.
Right.
And since he's the one who gave it, he gives a duplicate. He puts a duplicate in this task force guy's house, signed by him because he got the guy to sign another form.
Right.
And he ends up killing the guy with a crowbar that James used at another crime scene.
Well, and another thing that's great is that when he's making the anonymous tip, because he's worked with Gordon on the case, he knows details that only the cops know.
Right.
So therefore, it makes it sound more credible.
Plus, he can fudge the forensic stuff behind the scenes so that he can swap out the stuff once Bullock has given the info. He can swap everything out. Like, the bomb was set off by a cell phone.
Yep.
But then he swaps that out for it being set off by a payphone down the street or whatever. So he set this whole thing up brilliantly, and he lures James down to the task force guy's apartment just as Barnes is getting there. And they find all this evidence there, and he has to arrest James, and it's all set up so that James has to get arrested for it.
Right.
It's crazy. He's the task force guy is the tip-in, and it looks like he went there to kill the guy, and
Jim is pretty much screwed.
Yeah, he's really screwed.
Until, like, his only hope, of course, is Harvey, who vows to figure out who framed him, who set him up.
Right. And he says, I'm going to find out. I am your partner.
Because we don't have Batman yet.
Right. Right. Yeah, the closest we have to Batman is James at the moment. And James can't really do anything right
because
now.
Now James isn't. So it's all up to Bullock.
Right. And he knows going in that he is most likely going to die in there because he's in there with all the people he put away.
Yeah, he's in Gen Pop. General population. They refuse to give him protective custody.
Right. So he's going to get killed. And so he tells Lee, go away. Just go. Forget me. I'm a loss.
I'm a loner, Daddy. A rebel.
And so that's it. Yeah. So that, that's...
She's like, what about the baby?
I'm out. And she is not grasping onto the fact that he's probably not coming out.
Right. 40 years he got.
Yeah.
They went ahead, they did the whole, rapid, jump ahead in time so that, there's a trial.
At the end of the episode, I love this because the last 10 minutes or so, except for the very end, because there was a thing at the end.
Right.
But the last 10 minutes, except for the very end, was kind of a montage, switching back and forth between things.
Right.
kind of reminded me again of a very souped up version of the 60s Batman where like the paper was flying through the air and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where it gave us this 4-month jump. And it was, again, very cinematic. And I think it was Nick Copus
direction. Yeah.
Right. And I really love that. I think it's very underrated. I think if they were to ever submit an episode for an Emmy, it would be something like this because it is very well directed, I
Right.
thought. This episode, it didn't need any exposition
Mm-hmm.
at all. 4-month jump in one episode that's crazy. No show does stuff like that and gets away with. Well, not many.
Not many, but it happens.
Sure. But I thought this was seamless almost.
Right.
And you also get the 4-month jump of Oswald with his family.
Right.
Speaking of which, we'll go to Oswald's home.
Well, it's kind of good though because with the summer hiatus coming up,
they need to move it along.
They need to move the timeline along. Yeah.
Right.
But Oswald, yeah,
Oswald is released.
Yep.
He visits his good friend Butch.
Yeah, that doesn't go too well.
Who is ready to forgive him. Butch is.
Yeah, but Tabitha.
But Tabitha's not.
Nope.
Even though they've all lost something, she is not ready. So she doesn't want to kill him, though. She just has him tarred and feathered.
Which is a little petty, but at least it's not chopping off his hand.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And then he shows up at Ed's house.
Yeah.
Ready to chat with Ed.
Ed's like,
Ed,
I'm busy, dude. I don't have time. I'm sorry.
Zone, thank you for your information.
Gotta go. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks. You look interesting with the feathers.
Yep.
But thank you. He looked kind of baby penguin-y with the feathers like that, didn't he? Kind of molting.
Yeah.
Penguin.
Right.
So then he decides he's going to go to his mother's grave where he meets Paul Rubens'
Yes.
dad. And they did the theme song.
Pee-wee. But, and also played Oswald Cobblepot's father in Batman Returns.
Right. And they played a little bit of that theme song
Mm-hmm.
in the show to kind of draw your mind into that headspace.
Which is brilliant casting.
I know, it's great. He looks just like him. I mean,
Yep.
You can't really go wrong with that casting at all.
No.
And the little snippets you got of them together, he's taking a bath in his house. And
Right.
they're talking about how he was a rich guy and he fell in love with the cook's daughter and blah, 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 blah. And now I had to marry within my station. And then at the end of the episode, you see that his family is not exactly the type of people that want to be associating with Oswald.
Right.
They're a little stuffy.
Well, they also don't want the competition for Dad's money.
Oh, no, they do not.
No.
And I am suspect of not only their motives, but of perhaps their parentage. Because they look an awful lot like Mom and not much like Dad.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see where that goes. But they are not happy to see the son. And then we get the Bruce storyline with Selena, where he is on the street with her, and they decide to do a little.
Yeah.
But
real quick, sorry. I just had a thought though. Okay. So let's say this plays out, and Oswald ends up with a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he gets to. Do you think this could be the foundation of the Iceberg Lounge?
See, that's yeah. Well, he might be the sole heir if they
exactly. So
yeah.
So yeah, he could come into some money if the other kids aren't blood related.
See, this
and
is my
he
thought.
is, yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Just thinking, yeah.
See, that doesn't come through on the podcast, but I was tapping my forehead.
Yeah, I was going to say you might want to describe that.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're on to Bruce and Selena and Ivy, who shows up again.
Yeah,
And-
after a while, we finally
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, I remember Ivy was on this show.
She's cultivating shrooms,
Yeah,
which are, I'm guessing,
shrooms, dude.
drug. And they do all kinds of different things. This is Ivy with her green thumb. We're seeing the beginnings of Poison Ivy here.
Then she heads off to a Fish concert. Oh wait,
Nice.
thank you,
Very nice. I like that.
thank you.
And they decide they're going to go and hit up the tiniest Gilzine,
Yeah, baby Gilzine,
baby Gilzine.
his nephew or something.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to go and rob from the rich and give to the poor. And Bruce is all up in there. He's like, I don't care if we rob someone as long as they're bad.
Yeah, as long as they're criminals, I'm cool with that.
Sure. And again, we're starting to see the vigilante side of Bruce. This is the start of him and his morality starting to show.
Right.
And he's kind of digging on the adrenaline rush here.
Yeah, there was a really interesting scene during this because there's a throwdown fight between baby Gilzine and Bruce.
Right.
And Bruce first starts off getting his butt whooped.
Right.
Okay? So he's getting knocked down, but then he's just like, he remembers, he's like, there's Obi Alfred Kenobi in his head. Going, just all you have to do is outlast him, Luke or Bruce.
In your head.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he gets up and just starts taking the punishment.
Right.
And interesting, and this is the part I really loved.
Mm-hmm.
Is that later after the fight, he's with Selena, and he just comes into the realization that this is this is the part of me that I was missing.
Mm-hmm.
This is what kind of makes me feel complete.
Right.
To throw down with a bad guy.
Right.
So major Batman foreshadowing here.
Mm-hmm. He needs the adrenaline.
And not only that, but he's got a void in himself that he's fulfilling by being Batman.
And the anger. Getting rid of the anger.
And dealing with the anger, the loss of his parents by...
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. And I do like how they're also adding Alfred in. Like, he's out on the street doing this stuff with Selena, and he thinks he's left Alfred behind for a little bit in order to learn from Selena, but Alfred is still with him in his head, which I love. It means he hasn't left Alfred completely behind. So he's meshing the two lives together, and I dig that a lot.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the episode, while we're hearing that James has been sentenced to 40 years, we see that Barbara Gordon, well...
Yeah, well, no, Barbara Keene, because she didn't... They never married.
Yeah, Barbara Keene is waking up above Indian Hill. And
she's like, well, how did I get here?
What? And the nurse says, oh, Professor Strange is going to want to see you.
Yay.
Right.
Muhahaha.
Right. And then, we get this little...
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
that thing. So yeah, it was a really good episode, I thought, especially with all the Bruce development.
I'm definitely enjoying Bruce's development more this season than I was in season 1.
Me too.
And I think that kind of has helped the show become a better show as a result.
I agree. And not just that, but we got a lot of Riddler, and we got some interesting Penguin stuff.
Yep.
So all three in one episode. So what did you give it?
I enjoyed this quite a bit. I give this one 8.5 paintings defaced with question marks.
Very nice. I give it 9 Gotham-flavored Robin Hoodses.
In the hoods.
Right, because they weren't really, Robin Hood's is, but
They were, yeah, they
were
weren't like,
Gotham flavored.
yeah, yeah. Okay. With
Okay,
Selena,
Supergirl.
it's not like she's going to be altruistic.
No,
No.
they were Gotham flavored,
Right,
definitely.
right.
They wore gray hoods. So on to Supergirl,
Supergirl.
season 1, episode 17, Manhunter. Oh, here he comes.
He's a manhunter.
So,
Written by Cindy Lichtman and Rachel Schuckert. Directed by Chris Fisher.
Rachel Schuckert's in there every week.
Pretty much. Or every other week, seems like.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't finish my thing here.
You didn't finish.
So I have the A story is mock trial.
Right.
B story is this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine.
Aw.
This little light of mine. Hide it under a bushel. No. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Okay. For all of you that went to Sunday school, you know that song. Okay. C story is winning over cat. Cat.
Yeah. Well, sure. Why not? Because, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Win was torn
Yeah.
a little bit.
But he stepped up and did the right thing.
He sure did.
Okay, we'll get into that.
Okay, so mocked trial was really the main story, and it was a lot of flashbacks, and hello, good flashbacks.
Yeah, take note of that, Arrow.
That's right. Although it was kind of compressed, I think that they skipped a lot of the stuff that happened. I think that they were in the jungle longer than what they showed.
Well, they may fill it in later.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, I think this was just to get the basics.
Right.
Because they were just explaining, okay, how does John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, become Hank Henshaw?
Right. But do you get that feeling that they were there longer than just one day? Okay.
Right. Well, yeah.
Good.
Because I can't imagine that, okay, Jeremiah Danvers, played by Dean Cain, hey, once again, that he's just going to like, oh, I work for this organization that is hunting, or a group that's hunting aliens. Oh, I guess I'll be the alien's best friend because I like him. Just like that.
Yeah, I'm assuming that like he got lost out there and found him and decided he was going to find out what the dealio was.
There's an indeterminate amount of time between them.
Right. So it wasn't just an instant bonding. It was.
I don't think so.
They compressed it. He was telling a tiny bit of that
At least
story.
a few days.
Right.
In the jungle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during this mocked trial, put on by Eddie McClintock of Warehouse 13 fame, and he was also on S.H.I.E.L.D.
as Jim Harper, aka the Guardian
of Cadmus.
Cadmus. We got a major Cadmus shout out this episode.
We sure did.
So does that mean Superboy?
It might.
And Double X.
That's right.
For you, Jack.
Yeah, and they were gonna go to Cadmus, but saved at the last moment.
For you 90s DC Comics fans.
That's right. Well, isn't that the threat that's always hovering over Superman? Isn't that why he's always hiding his identity so he doesn't get vivisected?
Well,
because of Cadmus or other.
You like that word, vivisection.
Yeah, it's one of my things
week. It is a cool word. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it is. So.
And then also Lucy.
And Lucy,
who's now back with the army.
And she's got a grudge.
Yeah.
She got a grudge going right now. She doesn't like that she has been fooled by the agency.
Mm-hmm.
That Hank Henshaw is not what he appeared to be.
Because everyone is smarter than her.
Right. And they all lied to her. She does not like that.
They lied to me.
Right.
When?
Well, she's taking out the fact that James lied to her on everyone else. Right?
Right.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So
because she's still bitter about him being in love with Supergirl.
Well, having loyalty towards Supergirl.
Right.
Yeah. She's not sure what his feelings are.
Crushing on.
and having loyalty towards her, definitely.
But she's still bitter about that, and that's transferred now into like, I'm gonna go back to the army and I'm gonna be a jerk.
Right. And how do you quit the army and then re-up? And
I have no idea. It's
okay.
like she's in the army, then she's out of the army to become Cat's, work over at Catco, and then now she's back with the army.
Is it because her dad's an admiral or whatever?
General.
Whatever.
Yeah, he's a general. General Sam Lane. Yeah, so.
Yeah, whatever.
He might. Maybe he did pull some strings. Well,
okay.
I'm sure he's glad to have her back in the military.
Of course, he wants her back.
Right.
Maybe he just stopped the paperwork from going through. Yeah. That paperwork has not gone through all the way yet, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, the way they hinted about it in the comics is that Lucy joined the military as a way of pleasing Daddy because Lois went off and did the whole reporter thing.
Right. And became a huge success.
Because Lois was originally the favorite daughter.
Right.
She was firstborn, so she's the favorite.
And then Lucy, since she went into Daddy's business,
right,
became the apple of Daddy's eye.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. So when she goes back, then Daddy can love her again.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
Lucy
later in the episode, with what happens later in the episode, I'm guessing that she'll be straddling the line between Daddy loving her and having to lie to Daddy as well.
Yeah, she's going to have a little conflict, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to know how James feels, isn't she?
Hey.
She was on the other foot, isn't it?
Yeah, so maybe then they could become, now that she understands what James went through, maybe now they could have a relationship.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Right?
Could be. Could be
a
relationship. Could be.
So we have this little trial. They're questioning him and they convict him.
Yeah.
No question.
Right.
He's an alien. They're going to take him to Cadmus Labs. And they question Alex and they want to know if she's been collaborating with him. And they're clearing her until Lucy says she's lying.
Yep.
Off with her head.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they decide to take her in, just like that. And of course, Kara's listening through the wall and says, "You can't do that."
Right.
And they say, "Yes, we can. Bye-bye." And they walk out.
Yeah.
So she goes to James. James calls Lucy in, and she reveals herself to Lucy. Lucy says, "Of course. It's all clear now."
She takes off the glasses like, of course. Oh, yeah.
It all makes sense.
It's the power of the glasses.
She shows the suit first.
Yeah.
She opens up her clothes to show the suit first.
Now.
It's the suit is on underneath it. She's not naked or anything. She's not naked. There's none of this happening. None of that happening. So anyway, Lucy, they have to convince her to help. But she does in the end help them, and they end up saving Alex and Hank / Jean. But Alex and Jean have to become fugitives.
Right. See, so it was the James and Lucy, they get on 2 motorcycles. They go track down this truck that is transporting Jean, free him, and just, well, hey, great, we've got 2 motorcycles here, so Jean and Alex get on them and ride off as fugitives.
Right.
Not at all convenient.
No. Of course not.
Okay. Just checking.
Off we go.
Yep.
Off they go.
Yep.
So they're off as fugitives, and who knows how long they're going to be separated, one episode. Because
until Jean remembers, oh yeah, I can fly. I don't need a motorcycle.
Well, he wants to stay with Alex.
I know.
Alex can't fly.
I could carry you. We don't have to ride motorcycles.
Judge.
I'm sorry. I'm just, as a writer, it bugs me.
The CGI budget.
Yeah. Do it off camera. How's that?
All right. So anyway, they're going to be gone for an episode because, of course, it's the crossover with Flash, and that's
And
pretty
that's
convenient
and that's
for
much
them.
that's much more important as far as I'm
I
concerned.
cannot wait.
Yes.
But anyway,
50,
there's
54
that.
minutes.
Right. And then there's this side storyline that's going on at the same time when they're doing the flashbacks of Jean, where we see a little bit of Kara having to tamp down her powers because her dad is telling her, we've already got one Superman. We don't need another one. So quiet you.
Yeah.
Gives her some lead line glasses, which I wasn't thrilled with that storyline.
Yeah. You could have been a little more encouraging and supportive there,
A
Jeremiah.
little more. A little more. Or at least they could have treated it better. The
Yes.
writers could have written
Yes.
it a little better.
Yes, they could have.
Yeah. So that one I wasn't thrilled with. And then, of course, the win over Kat. Siobhan decides as a little
Because
F you.
Yeah, because she hasn't had enough like getting in trouble with computers.
She decides she's going to go into Catco,
Mm-hmm.
log on to Kara's terminal, and send a letter to Kat saying how much Kara hates Kat.
Yep.
And as impossible as it is,
Yeah,
when,
because she just happened to know Kara's password, and
well, not just that, but when there's no way one could figure out who wrote it from the typing speed and all that. That's just completely wrong.
yeah, exactly. Unless he was checking spelling, maybe she's or
Sure, spelling and phrasing
punctuation,
and stuff like
yeah.
that. Sure,
That
but
I
not
buy.
typing speed. Sure. But he figures out that it's not Kara. I mean, it could just be that Kara was out.
Right.
She was out sick that day.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, but Kara just called me, so I guess she could, or was here at this time, so therefore she couldn't have written that email because
Right.
we know the time the email was written.
Right. The one line I liked though was when Kat says, the one thing I'm sorry about is that I can't fire you twice.
Right.
So out you go and don't ever come back again. And Siobhan is very upset. Why didn't you stand beside me? And blah, 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 blah.
Why did you throw me under the bus?
Right. And she's dancing on the side of this building.
Well, I thought she was a little tipsy.
She was.
Okay, so
she's kind of
had a little drinky.
Right.
Yeah.
And Wynn is like, oh no, you don't have to kill yourself.
Get away from that lead.
Right.
No.
But apparently, whoops, off she goes, and we're gonna see what happens there.
Well, she falls and then stops herself with a scream.
That's right. But I'm saying they don't really explain what's happening.
No, but I mean, you see her screaming, and she's screaming at the ground, and then all of a sudden she like freezes right before splatting on the pavement.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying they don't explain that. But of course we know that she's
let's just save time and say, okay,
the Silver Banshee.
The Silver Banshee used her scream for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. She's the she became the Silver Banshee.
Yeah. But for some reason she's not all skeletal looking when
Yet.
she uses her power here.
Yet.
Yeah, but you would think she used a power, so she should be.
Right. She's going to be tonight.
Yeah.
Looking like that. So.
No, but
we'll find out what the dealio is.
It just bugs me because she used her power. She should be skeletal when she uses her power.
I know, I get it. It doesn't look great. Maybe she puts on the makeup to look like that.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. It's supposed to be an Irish curse, for crying out loud.
I know. Well, her name is Siobhan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm guessing it's going to be something ancestral.
Yeah.
But.
All right. So, anything I missed?
Nope.
Okay. What'd you give it? We're
give it
right on point here.
8 out of 10 forged nasty emails.
And I give it 8 teased hairdos. And that was because Alex had a little bit of a flashback to when Hank pulled her out of jail when she got pulled in for
right. Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, like
being in a bar.
It was a pretty bad wig.
Yeah, it was terrible. It's the Berlanti wig.
Yeah. Well, and she's supposed to look like she's a lot younger than she was, so
Yeah.
it did.
But Berlanti has a habit of doing horrible wigs.
Yes, as we know from Arrow, yes, he does.
Arrow and the Flash.
Yeah, right.
Because Robbie also had a horrible wig.
Good point. Yeah, that's right. Firestorm. Yeah, he did.
It was awful.
You're right.
Okay. Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Season 1, episode 9. A priest walks into a bar. Ba-dum-tsh.
Yeah, written by Chris Rafferty, directed by David Frazee. Stone Cold Frazee. Oh, wait.
Nice.
Thank you.
So, we have Frank conversations because, his name was Frank.
Frank, right. Father Frank.
Fools rush in. What's the second half of that?
Where angels fear to tread.
See?
I knew where you're going with that.
And then there were really only 2 storylines, so my bonus is Ebony and Ivory.
Very nice, yes.
Playing
on the piano, we know. Why can't we?
Exactly. Because they played together. So, Frank Conversations was really the main story, definitely. Right. And it involved the priest.
Father Frank. Played by Coleman Domingo from
Fear the Walking
Dead. Yeah.
Only no hair.
Yeah. Notice that. He's not all like pimped out in like really fine suits.
Yeah.
Dressed to the nines.
How can you miss that voice? I mean, it's the same voice.
That's what tipped me off right away. I was like, I heard the voice and I'm like, that's the dude from The Walking Dead.
Well, I recognized him immediately.
Fear the Walking Dead, excuse me.
He looks different. But I was like, oh, that.
But he does have a great voice, so I'm very jealous of it.
Yeah, and he is very philosophical, as well as being kind of the bane of Lucifer's existence in this episode as well. Right. He's very resistant to helping Frank because he represents everything that Lucifer doesn't want to confront.
Yeah, but he does like the idea that, okay, we have a priest and I get to help take down a priest. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, he's pretty sure the priest did all this stuff.
Right. So yeah, if we do that, I'm good.
He sets out to prove that the priest did it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his goal.
Right.
To make sure the priest did it. It's not to see who committed the crime. It's
just to prove it. Yeah.
Right. And they go in, and it's this drug ring that Frank has found out is going on. He doesn't want this kid that
Connor,
that he is kind of taken under his wing because they were in this car crash.
Right.
He actually caused this car crash when they were younger, and Connor was the only survivor other than himself. So he feels responsible for the kid. So he feels responsible for him, and so he doesn't like that Connor is getting caught up in this big drug ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to solve, who is behind this thing that Connor's getting caught up in. And for some reason, he is sent to Lucifer. And of course, they allude to the fact that God sent him to Lucifer.
Right.
And Lucifer is not having that at all. No. God does not want anything to do with me, so that you just put that right out of your head.
Yeah.
So.
But the problem is, Father Frank is very likable.
Oh, very.
And Lucifer, while trying to act like I don't want anything to do with Father Frank, ends up liking Father Frank.
Yes, and getting into long conversations with him, which is why I used Frank Conversations. They have so many philosophical and meaningful conversations throughout the course of this episode. I think that is more the storyline than actual crime.
There's a lot of good theology in this episode, and it's really interesting. And Lucifer being the character that he is, especially with his role in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
with paired off with a priest, and not having this antagonistic relationship, but they're actually trying, like Lucifer's trying, especially because of everything he's going with Dr. Linda.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost in like this existential crisis.
Not almost. I think he is.
Well, yeah. So him interacting with a priest at this stage is really interesting.
Right. I agree. And I love how one of the first things he does is he sees this really hot chick go into the confessional. And so he goes in to take the confession.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells the woman to go ahead and cheat on her husband. And
Yeah, that was great.
it was really cool. And
now, something I saw on Twitter was like, well, how could Lucifer be in a confessional because he's the devil? And I explained it because, well, what better place to have Lucifer than somewhere where sin is discussed?
correct.
So
Why wouldn't
if
he
he's
be
going
able
to
to?
be anywhere, he's going to be where the sin is, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
therefore, so that's why he could be in a confessional.
Right. I I can't imagine that Lucifer would be banned from anywhere. I really don't think he
No, I
would.
mean he is a fallen angel,
Right.
but it's yeah,
If he were on Earth, I think he would be
yeah,
okay to go anywhere, really. Because he'd have his foot in both sides.
right.
Technically, he was placed in hell to watch over it. He's not theoretically bad,
Especially if he's like his mortality isn't in play.
which I don't think is the case. Even still, he still did not get
Right.
put in harm's way
Yep.
in this episode. Now, mind you, that's coming into question probably in tonight's episode,
Probably.
which we'll talk about in a minute. So anyway, the conversations were fantastic. He ends up learning a lot about himself. He and Frank also play on the piano together, which is fantastic. He learns a lot about Frank before he became a priest.
Right.
He was in a jazz band and he was a human. So
Yeah.
it's almost like he can equate the fact that
Most priests are human.
well, no, but you know what I mean.
I know what
He
you mean.
doesn't think of him
He was a
as
regular guy.
a regular guy.
Right.
So he can equate the fact that he was not a priest and then a priest to the fact that he was an angel
Mm-hmm.
and then he was Lucifer. So he can see that sort of duality that's a mirror to his own life,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting. They are mirrors of each other in a way.
But sadly, something happens to Father Frank.
Right. So when they do find out that it's this, I guess it's like a coach.
Yeah, it was like this.
Youth pastor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's at the youth center where all
Right.
this was set. So yeah, there was like this guy that named Doyle.
Who I suspected immediately when he came on
Right,
screen.
exactly. Because he was
Yeah.
trying to convince Connor to shoot Father Frank, and then
Right.
Doyle shoots at Connor, and then Father Frank takes the bullet.
Yep. He steps right in front, of course.
Yep.
Yep.
And Lucifer is not happy about that.
Oh, Lucifer is very angry and he runs at the guy big time.
But then his
He
father
wants-
Frank is dying. He's like, "Oh yeah, like remember that your father has a plan."
Right. And he mentions, well, maybe I wasn't sent to you. Maybe, what does he say?
I can't remember. I don't have that.
He said something like maybe I wasn't sent to talk to you. Maybe I was sent
For you to talk to me.
for you.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway,
No.
he turns it around so like he was meant to help Lucifer instead of
Right.
to help Father Frank. So they end up solving the case, but Father Frank dies and Lucifer is despondent.
And this is where we had a really great scene
You
where
talking Chloe?
no, I'm talking Lucifer out on the balcony where he's talking to God. Like,
Yeah.
he's not happy. He's like yells at, at God. He said, he's like, what would it possibly take for someone to please him?
Right.
Since Father Frank did everything right.
Right. And I like that there's also a mirror. Father Frank doesn't smoke cigarettes anymore, but he likes to pretend like he does. He doesn't light them.
Yeah.
And then when Lucifer goes out there, he can't light the cigarette.
Right.
The lighter
God's
stay on
preventing him from lighting the cigarette. Yeah.
as a mirror, right? Again.
Mm-hmm.
So then Chloe and her ex
Dan.
douche, right?
Detective douche.
They kissed in the last episode, and he wants to talk about it, but she decides that Lucifer needs her more.
Right.
So she ends up going to Lucifer, and they play a little duet on the piano.
Yep.
In order to console him. And then the B storyline, Fools Rush In, is Malcolm has been tasked by Amenadiel.
Right.
Why did I raise you? Well, here's a gun. It's untraceable.
Yep. So
Guess
basically,
what?
yeah, your job is to kill Lucifer.
Lucifer, yep.
So that
and
he
so,
goes back to hell.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's the deal, is he saw hell, and Amenadiel saved him from that.
Right.
And that's his threat.
Amenadiel apparently doesn't want to get his hands dirty himself.
No.
So he's going to have this mortal do it.
Right. Maybe he can't.
Maybe he can't. Maybe, but your theory was that only supernatural beings could do that, can harm him.
Yeah, but maybe he can't. If he does, he'll have to pay penance for it.
Unless Malcolm tries to shoot and kill Lucifer, but nothing happens.
See, this is what I'm saying.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
To be continued.
Then, right. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right.
So what's your rating for this?
We'll see what happens. I give it 8.5 hearts and souls. Dun, dun,
yep.
dun.
And once again, we're right on target with each other. I give this one 8.5 dueling pianos. Which always reminds me of that scene reminded me of like Roger Rabbit, where Daffy and Donald Duck are playing pianos.
And the pianos go all wacky.
Yeah,
the lids come up and everything.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love that scene.
So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Season 3, Episode 13, Parting Shot.
Parting Shot. Written by Paul Zbyszewski. There's way too many consonants in this name.
Okay.
Zbyszewski. Directed by Michael Zinberg.
All right.
So apparently we went to the back of the
dictionary,
the Rolodex for Z's. Writing and directing.
They already ate all the rest of the alphabet soup.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So I have Prime Target. Prime Minister. Get it?
Yep.
Malik's Coup Screw.
Hey now.
Coup Screw.
Yep.
And then A Spy's Toast, because this deserves a serious title. So Prime Target is the main story. We'll blow through this because it's pretty simple. The Prime Minister of Russia.
You didn't like A Spy's Goodbye.
No, they had a toast.
Well, they said goodbye. Spy's Goodbye.
I know.
In the episode. Okay. So
A Spy's Goodbye, because this deserves a serious title. How's that?
Okay. Sounds good.
Are you happy now? Okay.
Never.
So Prime Target, the Prime Minister of whatever province they were in.
They were in Siberia.
Siberia, okay. Yeah. Siberia.
Siberia. Talk like Helene from Orphan Black. Is Siberia.
Siberia.
There we go.
Siberia. She's Ukrainian.
Right, that's right. She is.
So yeah, he is an Inhuman.
Right.
But he wants to make this refuge in Siberia for Inhumans.
Mm-hmm.
And then Malik wants to...
A sanctuary, yeah.
Right. Malik wants to take it over.
Yeah.
And make it a prison. And that's essentially the main plot.
Pretty much.
And S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to go in.
Yeah, Bobby and Hunter They follow Malik to the facility, and
Hmm.
then that's where wackiness ensues.
Right. They get caught
Mm-hmm.
and they are disavowed essentially because Shield can't get caught and get outed as being still active,
The secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions.
right? And
Mission Impossible.
and Malik ends up getting screwed by
Mm.
the prime minister
Coup screw.
because the prime minister
Yep.
wasn't gonna let him get a foothold anyway,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
The prime minister was gonna screw him over anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these double crosses happening, but ultimately the main thing was that Bobby and Hunter got captured. They couldn't out Shield.
Right.
They were gonna go ahead and extract them, but Bobby and Hunter decided they were just gonna take a fall.
Right. They did. They basically they're essentially burned as agents,
Yep.
and the even like they get President Ellis, William Sadler returns again,
Hmm.
and he's there with Coulson. They show up. Coulson does a little hinky stuff where he can have a little private conversation off camera, off mic,
Right.
and they decide, okay, we'll leave Shield,
Hmm.
and so there's like this agreement is made that Bobby and Hunter they won't go to prison, but they can't be Shield agents anymore.
Right.
Otherwise, it would lead to a second Cold War somehow.
Right. Well, they'd have to admit that Shield existed,
Right, that's true. So yeah,
and they can't do that.
yeah.
So
So
that's the compromise that gets made.
Yep.
They won't out this inhuman facility, and then the prime minister won't out Shield.
so I guess we'll have to go to our own spin-off, Marvel's Most Wanted.
And I'm assuming that's why they
Yeah.
do this. So they end up leaving.
So they
Then
better hope
there's
the pilot gets picked up.
right. Well,
They can bring him back.
essentially they will
They
be.
can bring him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this leads to an onion cutting scene at the end of the episode where all the guys,
Everybody's sad.
yeah, they all set up shots and they drink
Yep.
them one at a time and
Then walk
nod
out.
them on their way out. Mac,
Yeah, they
and
can't directly drink with them, so they like
right.
indirectly drink with them.
They drink and they nod.
Various
and then
tables, and yeah, they walk out.
May, Coulson, Daisy, and Mac all toast and then they walk out. And
Yeah, and they call the spies goodbye.
I was cutting onions, definitely.
Yep.
And mostly it was just, this flashback and then present day thing to them getting interrogated and
Right.
all that.
Now
And that was pretty much the whole episode, right?
We did get one little bit of interesting development. At the end, the end teaser for next week, Gideon Malik is shooting skeet with his daughter.
Right.
So we get
Now,
like
who's
new
his
characters.
daughter?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know who this is. So
She
this is
seems
like
to be really in the know, and she knows who
she looks
Ford
like
is.
yeah, she looks like she's a new player
Mm-hmm.
on the board. And so she's like, she wants to know how things went in Russia, and she really wants to know when she gets to meet the Hive.
Right. Ward.
Yes. So Malik is like, not yet. They're still trying to figure out what he's up to.
Right.
But his daughter says that Hive is going to change the world. So apparently she's like some fanatic or something about the Hive.
Right.
And I'm sure that won't cause any problems.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was interesting. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why we're here. We support each other.
She seemed interesting.
Yeah, I want to know more what's going on there.
Kind of alpha, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very interesting.
We'll find out more.
So, what did you give it? This one we're a little...
Yeah, we are kind of diverge a little bit. I thought this episode, for being the big goodbye, emotionally charged, sad farewell, I think it felt a little flat to me, and I think it's because knowing that they're going to the spin-off. So it just kind of like, that's nice. They wrote him out. It was effective. It did what it was supposed to do, but it wasn't anything flashy for me. So anything special. So I only gave it 8 out of 10 bags of cheeseburgers and curly fries.
That's almost what I picked too.
Because
Cheeseburgers.
that's what
Right.
Mockingbird wanted.
Yeah.
That's
She
a
was
little.
very cool.
I'm defiant spy chick. So just give me some cheeseburgers and curly fries because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
In the interrogation room.
Well, the main reason I upped it a little bit is because I thought the acting was really good in this one.
Right.
Bobby, I can't remember her name. Adrienne Padalecki, is that her name?
Adrienne Palicki.
Palicki,
who was also like Wonder Woman in the failed
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I thought she really ramped it up. She played it really cool at the beginning, and then when Hunter started yelling, she became very distressed, and then at the end, she had tears just right on the edge of her eye. And I mean, she was really, really good, and Hunter was good, and all the agents were good at the end. And then the introduction of the daughter and even the Russian agents I thought were really good. So I gave it 9.5 onions being cut. I was a softie for this one.
Yeah, I didn't hate this episode. I thought it was good, but just, I think you liked it better.
I just like the acting.
Yep,
so.
That's okay.
All right, The Flash.
The Flash.
Here we flip-flopped on this one.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, now this is the instance where I really liked some things, but yeah.
Okay, The Flash. Season 2, episode 16, Trajectory.
Yeah, written by Lauren Serto and Lila Vandenberg, a couple of new writers for the show. Directed by Glenn Winter.
Okay, Glenn Winter's cool.
Yeah, he directed the Legends pilot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow.
Directing was fine.
Yeah, directing was fine. So, A, B, and C it.
He'll cross that bridge when he comes to it. On Cloud 9.
Right.
And it's her story, and she's sticking to it.
Okay.
That's Iris.
Yeah.
You got that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It took me a little while, but I got that one. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So he'll cross that bridge when he comes to it, and on Cloud 9, it's pretty much the same story. Well, Barry is ramping up, trying to get some speed.
Yeah.
They're gonna make him fall down this waterfall, down a cliff.
Right.
And they figure that if he gets up to what, like Mach 2 or something.
Mach 3.
Mach 3.
They're trying to get him up to Mach 3.
Right. That he'll be able to survive. And
yeah.
Of course, Cisco has a bunch of drones with a net just in case. And
which is a good thing because it didn't work. So yeah.
Right.
This is the, they fail at the beginning of the episode so that when you get the payoff later, like, it worked. I'm now, yes.
Right. Which is why I put the when he comes to it, of course. And this is such a formula with the show, which is why I roll my eyes. Because I knew for a fact that when he fails at that, of course, later on, he's going to have to get up to Mach 3 to do something.
I'll give you that.
And he's going to succeed immediately without having to work up to it. He's just going to, I'll do it miraculously without having to work up to it.
Because we don't have time. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, he's having trouble. He wants to know about the 9, what is it, Velocity 9?
Velocity 9, yeah.
Because he learns about it through some sort of mistake. They mention it.
And he wants to take it.
Right. And they say, no.
Wells gets on him, Dirty Harry gets on his case about it. Barry's just like, well, everybody else is, doing what they can to amp up their speed. Why can't I?
Right.
And
exactly.
And Wells is saying, well, basically you got to be better than that. You'll figure it out. Don't be impatient.
Right. And through talking this through, they decide that Zoom is probably degrading as well, and that's why they need Barry's speed.
Right.
And Jay is degrading. Yeah. What a coincidence.
Yeah, that's what they piece at the end of the episode, that like, okay, Zoom's dying, he needs a cure, which is why he wants the speed, but then hey, like you said, Jay is dying too. I wonder if they could be the same person.
But the only reason they link the two together is because, hey, Cisco says, maybe this is the time I should tell you that I've been getting visions when I'm near
The Jay's helmet
the Jay's helmet.
in the glass
maybe?
case. Yeah, maybe I should
Yeah.
have told you that.
And then they're like, duh.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
So yeah, Barry comes over and smashes the
oh,
case.
so mad at that point too.
Yeah,
and
so
if
he
even
throws the helmet at him.
I'm so mad. Yeah.
Yep.
And of course he flashes. He
He's
sees.
not mad at Cisco. He's just mad that
he's
somebody I liked is revealed to be a bad guy yet again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think he was mad at Cisco. He's so mad at the situation.
Right.
And Cisco takes the helm, and what does he see? He sees
Zoom unmasking,
taking off the helm, and it is
Jay.
Apparently
someone
Jay.
who looks like Jay.
Right. It's probably Hunter Zolomon, though.
Yeah, because real Jay is the guy in the iron mask. As we've postulated before.
Right. So anyway, it's probably the Jay they know.
Right.
In the Zoom mask.
When he disappeared there for a while, that's probably when the switch was made.
Exactly.
My guess.
My guess too. So that's that whole story, but the Velocity 9 was formulated and perfected.
Yep.
Because
yep.
Stupid Caitlin worked with someone at Mercury Labs.
Eliza Herman.
Right. Who ended up figuring it out and synthesizing it and using it herself.
Only problem is she's schizo.
Yep. And she was using it to get herself ahead.
Yeah.
To study harder or something.
Well, that's what she says at first, and then just kind of she goes full supervillain.
Right. That's Trajectory.
Right. And now Trajectory, a little quick background. Trajectory was a very minor character in this series called 52.
Yeah.
And then she she got her powers in the comic from Lex Luthor, and then ends up getting killed because Luthor flips a switch and kills her to make a point.
Right. Right. And she's essentially just a throwaway, a red shirt.
Yeah. And then that's why she dies here. That's why I don't think she was absorbed into the Speed Force. I think she just burned up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think she just
I don't think she
crackled into nothingness.
As far as I know, she didn't get absorbed into the Speed Force.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then she could come back if she was absorbed into the Speed Force.
Right.
Because as we know from the comics, if you are absorbed into the Speed Force, you live in that Speed Force in a limbo.
It's like Speed Heaven.
Right. Yeah. And you can it's like Speed Purgatory.
Yeah, kind of.
Because you can come back out.
That's true.
Speed Heaven would be
Good point. Yeah.
An ending point.
Right.
So she wants more and more and more of the Velocity 9. Mm-hmm. She decides to go to Star Labs and get more and more and more. She takes the purest form of Velocity 9.
Yep.
She gets strung out and Barry tries to talk her down.
Yeah, she ends up going to this bridge and she starts stomping around trying to bring down the bridge. And Flash, of course, shows up. He starts saving the people, which kind of pisses her off that he's saving people. And then there's a canyon that's the bridge collapses. Part of the bridge collapses so that it separates them. So in order to make the jump, Barry, of course, has to hit Mach 3, which he does. Right. So now we have a new speed threshold at Mach 3. That's at least 2,100 miles per hour for those of you keeping score.
Yay.
So.
And of course, he can do that all the time now.
3 times the speed of sound. Yeah. Well, it's a new threshold. Yeah, he's flexing his muscles. He's working out. So yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so then she.
We're getting to it.
So yeah, she ends up running off. Then she turns blue because Zoom.
Her lightning turns right.
And then disintegrates. Now Barry watches this, so he's "Oh, hey, just like Zoom." So that's where they make the connection that Zoom is dying.
Yeah. Right. And then back at the paper.
Yeah.
Hold on. Meanwhile, back at the paper, Iris
Meanwhile,
is writing.
back at Picture
Iris is
News.
writing. Iris is writing a column on the Flash, and they think Trajectory is really the Flash because she's red.
Yeah,
Right.
Right, yeah. And she has
But
yellow lighting, so therefore there could be more than one speedster in town.
of course not. Even though Zoom.
So it must be the Flash.
So, yeah, her editor
Scott.
pushing her. Scott. Dick. Scott.
Hey,
That
Betty.
guy.
Hey, Betty.
Hey, Betty. Hey,
Betty.
pal.
Scott.
I'm not your pal. I'm not your friend. Okay,
You
anyway.
all right, guy?
It's just our segue that's happening.
So, he wants to push her to write the Flash is a bad guy. She sticks to the fact that it's not really Flash.
Right.
It turns out it's not really Flash, and she's vindicated, and she goes, ha ha, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So rating.
I give it 6.5 Thea Berry hybrids.
Okay.
Just
I was
like
I was more generous. I enjoyed this a little bit more. I gave it 8.5 out of 10 buses to Opal City because there was an Opal City reference when Jesse Wells decides, okay, she's just like, okay, Dad, I'm tired of your crap, so I'm out of here.
Right.
I'm going to go live my life so they can write me out for a while.
Did you notice that it said Midway on the side of the bus or Midvale on the side of the bus?
Right, but she was headed to Opal City.
I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
two references in one.
Yep.
Two treats in one.
I see what did. But
yeah.
But there also was a little bit that Jesse gets injected with Velocity 9.
Right.
There's a little seizure until, of course, she gets fixed. But
which means that now she can become Jesse Quick.
Yes, here's hoping. So probably season finale.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Because we're gonna get a bunch of speedsters, Wally or like Jay, and so yeah, it's gonna be a big Speed Force team up against Zoom.
That's right. I'm guessing.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
It seems that way.
Yeah. That would be nice.
That would be
okay.
Okay.
iZombie.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 15. He blinded me with science.
He blinded me with science.
Blinded me.
I was so tempted to use that as their song.
With science.
Or a lead out song. I was so tempted.
I would have played it.
I know you would have. I was tempted, but oh well. Okay, go. Oh,
written by?
I'm sorry. John Enborn, directed by Dan Etheridge. My fault.
Okay. A story, back on the Brain Gang. Sorry, too good not to use, even though Blaine uses it in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Cover all the basements.
Right.
Instead of bases.
Mm-hmm.
All's fair in love and more.
Nice. I like that one.
Thank you. So, Blaine's a zombie again.
Yep.
He goes to Ravi for more brains.
I love him like on the bus with a picnic blanket, looking like death wormed over.
He's got blood and dirt all over him. His neck has been slit.
Yep. I just love that.
No one cares.
Yep.
No one cares.
It's just some crazy guy on the bus. Big deal.
Right. Well, they live in Seattle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
Talk about grunge.
Nicely played.
Thank you. Plus, they're the lumbersexuals and all that up there. So
lumbersexuals. I've not heard that term before.
Oh, look it up.
I'm sure it's a fanfic thing.
No, it's not at all.
Okay.
It's like metrosexuals, but lumberjack sexuals.
Got it.
It's guys that groom themselves, but they look like lumberjacks.
Okie dokie.
All right. Beards.
Moving on.
So anyway, he's a zombie now. He goes to Ravi for brains because he needs a brain.
Yep. If I only had a brain.
And he also learns that through the brain that Liv has eaten, they have viable serum.
They get science brains.
Right?
Yep.
And he can test it if he wishes.
It was pretty cool to see both him and Liv like throwing out scientific terminology.
I know, it was great.
I loved it.
Great.
I really liked that.
And he said, no, you're onto something there.
Right.
It was really cool. So he decides to at least take the vial back to the morgue. Not morgue, funeral home.
Yes.
And he takes it back. He's eating the brain. He gives his 2 henchmen all the info they need in case it kills him.
I like the one henchman
And-
who was just like, why, like kind of like, why are you telling us this?
Right. He doesn't get it.
No.
The other one is stoic and dumb.
Yeah.
And then the one guy is like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I think he transferred a lot of his money to a charity.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like that's what he did, right?
Right.
And then at the end of the show, when he's coughing up all his guts,
Yeah.
He's really sick.
Right.
He decides to inject himself.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see where that goes. Then cover all the basements. She eats the brain of a scientist that happens to be working for Max Rager. She finds out about the secret basement.
Yep.
And tries to get down there. She gets caught and learns a lot about Max Rager.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, we find out that there's a lot going on in that basement. And
yeah. Oh, there's some really interesting things because we got Von Clark finds out that Major is boning his daughter.
Right. He's not happy about that.
No, because he sees her black eye, so he gets like, "Oh, you hit my daughter." And,
right, and she says, "No, it wasn't him. It was Liv."
Yep. And so Major's like, "Nice one, Liv."
Right. But
and then
then they're down in the basement doing some testing.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the carrot on the stick, but it's brain on the stick.
Right.
To a zombie.
Breaks
the zombie
breaks restraints. Goes out.
Right, going berserk, eating the scientist, and then going really berserk, and he escapes, leaving his daughter in there.
Yeah.
Nice move.
Yeah. So it's
his
like, oh, sorry, elevator's doors shut. Oh, I could have held those open for you. Oh.
It's his button, actually, to shut the doors.
Right.
Evil. And his daughter is zombified and not so nice.
Well, she thinks he's dead, or he thinks she's dead.
Right.
He goes back to his office, is like, okay, that happened. And then all of a sudden he hears like the elevator ding as she comes up, and now Rita's a zombie.
Right. And he is terrified that she's going to come back and get him. Yeah. And then all's fair in love and more. There's a bit of a triangle thing, a quadruple thing happening. Not only is the Rita thing happening, because there's something going to go down with that, but her boyfriend, she finds out that he's working for Mr. Boss.
Right.
And then Major ends up drugging him and dragging him off at the end of the episode. Yep. So what do we got?
I gave it 8 out of 10 black eyes.
And I was just a hair lower, 7.5 vivisectioned lab rats.
All right. We got 12 minutes.
Yep. Arrow, 416.
Yep.
Broken Hearts. Stupid Cupid again.
Stupid Cupid again.
Written
by Rebecca Bellato and Nolan Dunbar. Directed by John Showalter.
Okay.
Featuring the return of Amy Gumanik as Cupid.
Yeah, I like her as Cupid.
She's okay, but it's Cupid.
That episode was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah. A story. Wedding secluded, interrupted by Cupid.
Mm-hmm.
B story, copying to his crimes. C story, another suck-ass flashback.
Well said.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're great with those C's.
Yeah, thank you. On Arrow, definitely.
Yep.
So Cupid is deciding to interrupt celebrity weddings and kill them because love means death.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's good. Go.
Okay.
That's it. That's all. That's all it deserves.
Yep. Copying to his crimes. Since Lance was working with Dark, he decides that he's going to take the ultimate sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Cop to his crimes working with Dark in order to put Dark away. And he ends up doing so, and Dark gets put in jail without bail, without possibility of release until the trial.
Right.
At the end of that, he takes a ring out of his mouth.
Yeah, because apparently no one was smart enough to search his mouth.
To search him, right.
Yeah, and then he puts it on his finger, and he's like, "Muahahaha, muahaha."
I've got something happening, yeah. And then the Skaggs flashback, there was some sort of a helmet down in those caves, and the soul came out of someone and went into someone else,
we don't care.
and something glowed.
Yep.
And then I gave it 7 needless, angsty relationship twists.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you give it?
I gave this one 7.5 out of 10, and that was being generous. Secret mouth rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible episode.
Yeah. The only big significant thing is that it looks pretty strongly now that Captain Lance is now the guy in the mystery coffin because Damien Dark needs to kill his witness for the prosecution.
Perhaps, unless
Mm-hmm.
Donna gets in the way.
As a threat, maybe, or as a way to
Or
intimidate.
just gets in the way.
Maybe. So we'll see.
Like literally gets in the way.
Right. So we'll see.
Because he's not quite as.
But yeah,
dispensable.
Captain Lance's stock is rising in the mystery grave pool.
That's true.
Stock rising. Okay.
I wasn't too far away.
Last show.
Season 2, Episode 3, New York's Finest.
Written by Mark Verheiden of comic book fame and Smallville fame. Directed by Mark Jobst.
Very cool. A story, Malice in Chains.
Yep.
B story, Claire's Anatomy.
Nice.
C story, Enveloped in Evidence.
Nice.
So Malice in Chains, we get this whole story where the Punisher and Daredevil are having a bromance chat.
Yeah. Well, this is something that's right out of this very comic right here. The Punisher #3, written by Garth Ennis, drawn by Steve Dillon.
Volume.
Well, it's the first Ennis volume. It's like I think it's like volume 5 of the Punisher.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but it's the first Garth Ennis one. It's the 12 issue maxi series.
Okay.
But that could basically Punisher gets a hold of Daredevil, and they have this little morality debate. And I found this really interesting because this comic doesn't really do that kind of subject matter justice. I thought it was much better here in this episode because they really get into the meat of the discussion, and he basically, Frank tells Daredevil that the only way you're walking free is if I want you to.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daredevil's asking him why he's still alive, and Punisher doesn't care who Daredevil is, and then it all gets into like why Punisher does what he does.
Right. A bit of a philosophical discussion about why they're different from each other.
And then to prove his point, the Punisher ends up like duct taping a gun to Daredevil's hand. And he offers a choice. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and he says either you kill him by your hand or you kill him by your inaction.
Or you kill me. I'm going to kill this guy unless you kill me.
Right. Exactly. You kill me, you kill him, or I kill him.
Right.
There's only a couple choices here.
Yep.
And
or you do nothing so that let me get on with my work. Right.
And Matt comes up with another solution, although it doesn't really work. He decides he's going to shoot the chains to get free to stop him, but he's a little too late, and he ends up shooting the guy anyway.
Yeah, you should have thought of that a little faster, but kudos for thinking of it.
But it was an ingenious plan anyway.
But yeah, he was struggling against those chains the whole episode, trying to find that weak link, but no, he didn't have to shoot it.
It was something that probably he didn't think about until the last minute. So, and then, what's his name? What's the Punisher's real name? I can't think of his name.
Frank Castle.
Frank.
Yeah.
I should remember Castle.
Yep.
Frank decides he's going to make a ruckus down in the biker area downstairs.
Does he?
He does. He blows up some bikes real good.
Yeah, right outside the Dog of Hell biker gang's place.
Draws their attention, and they come up to get them in the building.
In a spectacular fight. And that's one of the reasons I love this episode, because if you love the hallway fight from season 1, this stairwell fight is fantastically
or
choreographed.
Yeah. One of the things I love about it is when Matt uses the chain
Yeah.
to break out all the lights.
It's just whipping it. Basically, yeah, he's got these chains and he's got his hand duct taped to this gun.
Right.
So he can't really fight like normal. So he because of his martial arts training, essentially turns the chains into whips and can knocks out the lights because hey, guess what? I'm blind, but I've got my
I
radar
don't need
sense. I don't need lights, but
Right.
you do.
But they do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's great. And he's just whipping them
Yeah,
around.
it's a good fight.
Fantastic.
It's a really good fight. I think that was my favorite part of the whole episode was just that fight.
I'm sure it was it's the
best part of this whole episode.
It was fantastic. But
so yeah, that's fantastic.
But yeah, so he's like one by one he goes through these guys. He's got like the unloaded gun taped to his hand. The fight goes down the stairwell. The bikers are getting after him one by one. Like 25 dudes later,
Right.
Daredevil
and dragging Frank.
Yeah, yeah. So Daredevil heads down to the stairs to the bottom floor where 3 men are waiting for him. Daredevil gets the upper hand, beats them.
Right.
And then walks out.
Right. But he leaves Castle like in the elevator at one point. Right?
Unconscious. Yeah. But but because he had to fight these other guys, then Castle gets away.
Right. So there's that. And then Foggy ends up at the hospital looking for Claire.
Right.
To talk about their mutual friend. And a bunch of bikers end up there. And he has to diffuse a tense situation there. And Claire ends up having a bit of grudging respect for him and understands why they're friends.
It makes a few Jessica Jones references with Luke Cage.
And Luke Cage references, yes.
Apparently she got punished for leaving to go take care of Luke.
Yeah, she's having to take some really crap shifts because of all that. And she's not relishing having to do any more of that, so she's not really going to take off any more time to help. Right. So, she says no to that. But Foggy does help her a little bit, so there's a bit of a scene there. And then Karen ends up trying to get some evidence. She gets some envelopes, and there's a bunch of evidence in it, and the last one is an x-ray with a skull and a bullet in it.
Yep. So, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much it.
So what'd you give it?
I love this episode. I love the morality debate. I love the stairwell fight. Come on.
Yeah, I'm going to up my grade.
10 out of 10 from me. 10, and I don't give these 10s out very often. 10 unconscious bikers in a stairwell. Loved it.
Very nice.
Favorite episode?
I'll up mine to 9. 9 broken fluorescent lights.
It was a fantastic.
I gave it 8, but I agree. I think the conversation and the fight.
There's a lot. 9. There's a lot to love about this episode. I thought it was just a home run.
And we did get feedback.
We got Claire again.
We're running late.
Yeah.
So, Justine and I apologize, but we got to go tonight. Yeah. So,
we could play 2 next week.
Yeah, we'll play this one next week. How's that?
Yeah, and then we can do 2 next week. So your efforts will not go to waste. I promise.
No. We'll play this one next week and then next week as well. Exactly. So if you want to leave us feedback, it's at Fandom Zonecast on Twitter and Facebook.com Fandom Zone Podcast, and then fandomzonecast@gmail.com. I am at Oliveria on the Twitter machine, and there's a link in my bio to my blog. You are?
At Charles Skaggs on Twitter and Instagram, Google Plus for you crazy kids on the Google Plus, and Facebook, of course, and Damn Good Coffee and Hot, my blog of geeky things. So check it out, and give some extra likes on Facebook. That'd be great if you could.
Excellent. Cool. So that's it. We're getting out of here.
Sorry for the rush, but
exactly on time.
Awesome.
So we'll see you guys next week.